Morning Mindset, a daily dose of practical wit and wisdom with a professional educator and trainer, Amazon best-selling author, United States Marine, television and radio host, Paul G. Markel. Each episode will focus on positive and productive ways to strengthen your mindset and help you improve your relationships, career goals, and overall well-being. Please welcome your host, Paul G. Markel.
Welcome back to Morning Mindset. I am your host, Paul Markel. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope that you're enjoying this show. I hope that you're taking the opportunity to share it with other people in your life that you feel may need it. And I'm going to talk today about something that's a little bit more complex. Oh, I used the complex term. Yes, but I'm going to explain it. And it's a term that you may or may not have ever used in your life, but it's called cognitive dissonance. Let me set it up like this. Have you ever met anyone or known anyone in your life that you consider to be a genuinely good person? They were a nice person. They were a reasonable person. Or they're reasonable people. Maybe it's a couple or a family or what have you. And they seem to be struggling. They're struggling with an issue or a problem. Or maybe they don't have this problem personally, but the members of their family do, or they're seeing a problem. And you offer a solution, something that seems to you to be really super obvious. You say, this person's a nice person. They're an intelligent person. I mean, they went to college, so they must be very smart, right? Because everybody who went to college is a genius. I know, I'm kidding. But they went to college. They're very nice people. They're smart people. And yet they can't see or apply what seems to be a very, very simple or obvious solution to their problem. And it kind of befuddles you. You're like, well, why do they keep having these same problems? Or why can't they fix this problem in their life? Why is that? Well, cognitive dissonance is defined as the state of having inconsistent thoughts, beliefs, or attitudes, especially as relating to behavioral decisions and attitude change. You're like, wow, that's something. Yeah, I know that's something. The reason that, maybe you or your family members or your friends or acquaintances or whatever, the reason that they can't see the problem and apply what seems to be to you an obvious solution is because the solution that's being offered is not one that jives with their currently existing belief system. You're like, wow, now you're really going, yes. For instance, I'll give you a super simple for instance. How many of you guys keep a fire extinguisher in your kitchen all the time, every time, right? And you say, duh, Paul, of course I do. Now, you and I, if you have a fire extinguisher in your kitchen, and you have for as long as you can remember, you think that that's pretty obvious, and that every person has a fire extinguisher and understands that that's the first line of defense against a fire, right? You think that. But unfortunately, what I've found in my life as I talk to strangers, I talk to people that I've never met before, I survey people. Not everyone in America in 2018 does that. Not everyone in the United States actually deliberately went out and bought a fire extinguisher and put it in their kitchen. And if you have, see, that's the thing. If that's something that you've always done, it seems to you to be very obvious and a simple, straightforward solution. But there are adults in the United States who've grown up with the internet and smartphones or iPhones and apps and so forth and 911, and it never occurs to them that if a fire starts in their house, the first thing they should do is not grab their phone and call 911. The first thing they should do is grab the fire extinguisher and try and make it stop. If you can catch a fire within the first 30 seconds to a minute, or maybe even a minute and a half, depends on, what it is. If you can catch it quick, you can put it out, and you won't have to worry about the fire trucks coming to extinguish your house. But if you don't deal with the problem immediately, instead you run into another room or run outside and call 911, like I'll give you a simple example. Grease fire. The pan catches on fire. Now there's fire in the pan. Instead of grabbing an extinguisher and putting it out, some people would grab their phone, run outside, and call 911 and wait until the fire department gets there. Well, by the time the fire department gets there, their kitchen will probably be fully engulfed in flame. Whereas if they would have just grabbed the extinguisher and put it out, they wouldn't have to do that. That is an example of cognitive dissonance, because the guy who grabs his phone and runs outside, it's not even in his wheelhouse to make that decision. Now, there's a lot of different ways that we could apply that, but that was a very, very simple one. So when you're dealing with people that you say, man, it's blowing my mind, the solution to me seems really obvious. And yet these folks won't attempt it. Or the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over again, but expecting a different result. For instance, many of our big cities in the United States of America, well, they're overwhelmed by poverty and crime and corruption. And you say, yeah, that's terrible, and we should do something about it. But when the time comes to vote, the people who are saying, yeah, that's terrible, crime, poverty, this, they vote for the people that have been offering the same failed solutions for generations, decades. And you say, well, why would someone do that? Why would they keep voting for a political party or an organization that has continuously failed for years and years and years? Why wouldn't they do something different? Why wouldn't they go the other direction? Because they can't make themselves think that way. Because in order to do something different, to apply a different solution than the one they've already been trying and failing for so long, it would be an inconsistent thought or belief. The solution that you're offering is inconsistent to what they already believe, and therefore they can't do it. So I know that, and the reason I brought this up is because I've talked to some people who I consider to be very nice people. I know that they are intelligent people. They may be college educated. They're not bums. They're not leeches. They're not living off of the system. But they just can't seem to grasp simple solutions. And you probably are dealing with those same people in your life. And the reason may be as simple as cognitive dissonance. And if you like these people, if you want to really genuinely help them, and that's something that's part of being a friend, you may say, look, I think what you're dealing with here is a little bit of cognitive dissonance. And they may tell you to go pound sand, but if they tell you to go pound sand, then you're essentially, you're even more right than you were before, or you're correct in your assumptions. So don't get too frustrated. I know it can be frustrating when you're actually trying to reach out to people, you're trying to help them, and it seems like they just can't accept the help. They can't accept it. And you're banging your head against the wall. Part of the reason that I'm doing this segment today is so that you can stop banging your head against the wall and feel like you're failing. It's not you. You're not failing. If you offer a very simple solution to someone and they refuse to accept it, it's not your fault. It's because you can't reach them, and part of it is because of cognitive dissonance. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it for the day. Thank you very much for listening. I am your host, Paul Markel, and I'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you for spending time with us today. To get show notes, submit a topic request, and for more from your host, Paul G. Markel, visit morningmindsetpodcast.com. That's morningmindsetpodcast.com. podcast.com. Please leave a review for this podcast on your favorite podcast player. We appreciate your time and effort, and we look forward to reading your honest feedback.